Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you so much for joining me today for another Nimble training webinar. My name is Michaela Underdahl, and I'm Nimble's community manager. Today's session is being recorded, and everybody who registered will receive a follow-up email with the link to the recording later today. If you have any questions during today's session, please use the questions box to let us know. And my colleague Megan's in the background, and she's compiling everything into a document, and she'll share it with me so I can go through all the questions at the end of today's session. And during the next about 45 minutes, I'll take you on a tour through the Nimble contact record. I'll explain all the basic stuff on the contact record. I'll then walk you through setting up custom fields, and then we'll also go through the settings. I'll talk about all the different places from where you can import your contacts and how to do that. And again, at the end of the session, we'll have a Q&A. So for those of you that are new to Nimble, I'll spend a few seconds on talking about what Nimble is. So what is Nimble? Nimble is an easy to use customer relationship management tool that helps small to medium sized businesses as well as entrepreneurs to manage their business relationships better. It does it by integrating with both Office 365 and G Suite and by unifying all your contacts, calendars, and communications into one place because everybody knows that our contacts are all over the place. And that's all our today's webinar is about. So you probably have them in spreadsheets, you have them in Outlook contacts or Google contacts. And then when you're looking for them, you have to jump through a million different places. And most importantly, if they're not in one place, like a CRM database, you are not able to segment them, access them in one place, and then take the next actions on that. So on top of unifying everything into one place, Nimble also has all the basic CRM follow-up features, so you can schedule the next things that you need to get done with people and make sure that they actually get done and nothing is falling through the cracks. On top of that, Nimble also has a segmentation feature that I mentioned that allows you to segment your database into targeted groups, as well as group message feature, which you can utilize to message these segmented groups and then get insights on the clicks and opens. We also have a deals and pipeline management features together with some reporting. And Nimble's cost is $19 per user per month if you pay annually. And if you pay monthly, it's $25 per month per user. So now we are in Nimble. Let me go full screen here. When you first log into Nimble, you will land on Today page. The idea for Today page is for you to be able to tell what are the most important things you have to get done every day. You can completely customize this page by clicking on the Manage Widgets. So depending on your role, you can put those, if you are in sales, you can put those sales related on top. I personally want to have my task in the first place, so I know what are my to-dos for the day. I also use the email tracking, so I know how people are interacting with my emails. And then maybe when I really need to hear from them, I know that they opened today, so I can call them or send them an email. I'm also using a Twitter a lot, so having the signals is very useful for me. And we have other widgets like stay in touch features, so you can actually use Nimble to set up stay in touch reminders. So you can tell Nimble to remind you to stay in touch with people on monthly basis, quarterly basis, or you can set up a custom reminder. And then it will be appearing here, so you'll know that in 11 days it will be time to get in touch with Megan. In events, you'll see everything what's on your calendar, and as I mentioned, you get to connect multiple calendars to Nimble, so then you would just select which one it is that you want to see. And since I mentioned some of the sales related widgets, you would see them here. We have a pipeline chart, stage funnel, and also a widget that's called deals, where you can see all the deals that are active and related to you or somebody else on your team. So that's the first page where you land. But especially if you're new to Nimble, you should be starting in settings. So you can always click on the circle in the top right corner, go to networks and imports, and you will land here. And this is also where you'll go every time you want to import contacts into Nimble. Importing contacts is mostly very easy. I'm saying mostly because it really depends from where the data is coming from, and what it looks like, because sometimes people create spreadsheets that are not in like a super friendly format for a CRM. So sometimes you'll have to play with it a little bit. So when you're first getting started, this is where you can connect your emails. And as you can see, you can connect multiple. So I have Office 365, I have my Gmails and all that. Same with calendars. I have both Outlook and my Google Calendar. If you're using Twitter, this is where you can connect Twitter. And since we're talking all about importing contacts today, this is where you can import contacts from Twitter. It's very easy, but there's one important thing that I would like to mention, especially if you are like a power user of Twitter. You know that there are Twitter lists on Twitter that you can use to kind of cut through the clutter on Twitter and basically create groups of people to then be able to focus on them better and not having to just scroll down or like search for people that you want to talk to. So if you have a lot of followers, or even if you're a business owner and you know there are people following you on Twitter, not everybody that follows you has necessarily have to be inside of CRM database. So that's why I would pay attention to this drop down menu where you can select what kind of people you want to actually bring in. So you can bring in everybody, but again, I don't believe that everybody that follows you is necessarily a customer or a prospect and has to be there. And it's very important to always keep in mind that the cleaner the database, the more likely you and your team members will continue to use it, and it will actually be useful and will be saving you time. If it becomes a mess, then you know what will happen. So I strongly advise against importing everybody. You could import friends. Those would be people that you follow each other with, or those that you follow, or your followers, which I don't necessarily agree with, but sometimes you might have really targeted followers. These are the Twitter lists I mentioned, so you can bring in any Twitter list that you created that is set on public. So then you would just select the one from the list. You also get to create a tag, and you should create tags for every import, especially when you're using Nimble as a team. It's very important to always customize the tag. So when you're getting started, for the administrator, it would be a very good idea to maybe write down a little bit of a guidelines and share it across your team so everybody knows how to create the tags. And I'm talking specifically about importing contacts from Google Contacts or Outlook Contacts. When you import it and you just call it Outlook Contacts and you have 5 team members, because the data is shared, there will be a bunch of tags that are called basically the same, and you'll never know who specifically imported them. So I would recommend thinking about it, coming up with some tagging structure before you start importing your contacts into Nimble, sharing it across the street, across the team, or having a short meeting, and like talking about how you guys want to organize the contacts. So for instance, it could be Michaela Twitter, Silicon Beach, startups, something that will make sense to everybody, because sometimes you use abbreviations that make sense to you, but not necessarily to other people. So that would be import from Twitter. You can also import contacts from LinkedIn. We do not have a direct integration with LinkedIn as of now. So my colleague Megan will share a link to our support article where we link specifically to the place in LinkedIn where you can download your LinkedIn connections. It takes a while. I'm actually going to test it out. So, okay, so this is the article I was talking about. So when you click here, it will take you to your LinkedIn account where you can select what you want to download. So, like I said, I already did it, so I'll try to refresh. Okay, so they're working on it. So you would go here, and because you can only import connections into LinkedIn, then you can just check connections here, click on download archive. LinkedIn will ask you for, oh, actually, looks like it worked. Great. So we'll start with importing contacts from LinkedIn. So what happened before was that I clicked request archive. They asked me for my LinkedIn password. I edited in, and then it took about 20 minutes for them to make the download available. So then when you're ready to import the contacts from LinkedIn, you, again, circle in the top right corner, networks and imports, and we have this LinkedIn button here to make it easy for you. This is where you just select the blue button, select from file. Oh, okay, so first I'll have to unzip the file. See, it's saved in a CSV file, so I'm all good. Here. One thing that is very important that you can do with Nimble is that you can save your mappings. We also have some default data sources, so we actually know what format it comes from LinkedIn and all these other places. So I would recommend reviewing them. If you know those are some of the places that you're importing your data from, because then it will help you. It will help you through the process and save you a lot of time on the mapping. So since you also have an option to save your own mappings, if you're importing from a custom spreadsheet, maybe it's a custom spreadsheet that your company's using. Once you set up the settings once, you can save it, and then in any future imports, you can just select from the saved mapping. So for this import specifically, I'll just select LinkedIn, select next. And as you can see, Nimble already knows what the columns look like. So it automatically mapped it for me. So first name, last name, email address, we call it work email inside of Nimble. You can also search here. So if it doesn't look right, you can go through it by clicking on the drop down, or you can start searching. So when you want to change the email, maybe when you're bringing the data from a spreadsheet, maybe it will be a personal one or a different email. So this is where you can select it. For position, we call it title. And another piece of information that LinkedIn gives you when you download your info from there is when you connected with the people. So we don't have such field inside of Nimble, but you have the option to create it. So you can create it before that, or every time you're running an import into Nimble, we also give you the option to create a new field on the import. So I could call it LinkedIn customer info, and it would be a single line text. And for those of you that haven't used data fields before, this will all make more sense in a little bit when we go through creating the custom data fields in Nimble. Yeah, I'll just skip it for now and select next. This is also a very important page. So by default, we merge data based on an email address. We do it because we don't want to merge contact records that have very common names. So we don't want to merge all your John Smith records into one. So we are looking for an email. If you don't want us to do that, you can also select the other options like merging on email if available, but on first and last name when there's no match by email. So it really depends on the kind of data that you're bringing in, and if you know for a fact that there are no same names. But what we default to is matching them email by email, and for company records, we match by the domain URL. Very important thing, always apply a tag. So I'll call it LinkedIn Michaela, and I'll put, nope, it's still October, and I'll click finish. The reason why I'm putting the date is that this is not an integration. I'm manually importing the data. So I'm depending on how many people I add to my LinkedIn on monthly basis, I could run the imports periodically, and then it would be helpful to know when was the last time I ran the import. I could just find the tag and look at it, and then I could download it again from LinkedIn, import it again, and then again, Nimble would override the existing data, and then I could change the tag on the import and delete the old one. Another option is if you're not connecting with that many people, you can always use our browser extension to add people one by one. So once you connect with somebody, would actually be here. So if I want to add Vincent, I could just hover over him and add him to Nimble this way. I could apply the tag here. So it's very easy to do so. So again, it really depends on the amount of connections you're adding to your LinkedIn. If you're like a big connector and you're connecting with hundreds of people, then it might just be easier to download and import in bulk. So I can go back to Nimble, and let's just take a look if it was brought in. You can go into context, bring up our segmentation, locate the tag, and my contacts are coming in. And since we're over here, I would like to actually go back, and I'll select a contact record here. I want to talk a little bit about what our contact record looks like in Nimble, and I want to show you the data fields that we already discussed, and then we'll go back into settings and finish the import from other places. So here we are on a Nimble contact record. So you can see all the basic info about the person: first name, last name, title, all the social profiles you have for them. You can add notes. You can log any past activity. You can schedule future activities. You can even message them from inside of Nimble. You can send them track message. You can create a deal. Under interactions, you see everything that has been done with the person. So once you develop the relationship further and there's a lot, you can also go through the subtabs here. So you can go just through specific activities, or just focus on the notes, or you can just see the messages, and the messages will be emails and also messages from Twitter. You can also see their contact information here, all the tags that you put on them, and other details. Like we have this smart summary, and the intention is to give you just enough information so you can open up the contact record before your meetings and see what the person is all about. What are all the things that have been done with them in the past, just to help you prepare for the meeting. So the second tab, data fields. So the person info, that's our default tab, but you also get to create up to five custom tabs in Nimble. So it really depends on your use case. So for instance, you can name it customer info, or it can be partner. And as you can see, it's empty for now. So where you set it up. So again, we're going, clicking on the circle in the top right corner, going into settings this time, and data fields is towards the end in the menu on the left. So you can click on the existing one here. If you want to create new one, you would just select new one, and you would be working on the right side here. So this is how you could name it. So I'm just going to work with the partner one, or let's actually start from the beginning. So clicking on the new one, I can call it partner. And then for any individual fields, I would be again working on the right here. So I could have a field called owner, and in the field types, it could be a single line text or a multi-line text. It could be a select box or a separator, or it could be an address. So for this purpose, I will use the select box, and I'll define the value. So I'll have myself, I'll have Megan on our team, and I'll have John, our CEO. You can also pick if you want the width of it to be one column or the entire thing, so two of them. So this is what two would look like. Would be big like this, but I'm actually going to go with just a single one. So the next field could be relationship stage. And again, it could be a select box. It could be net new or an evangelist or anything else. I apply changes to put it in there. Another one could be, maybe since we're talking about partners, I want to know about their level of expertise. Could be low, could be medium, and you get the idea. So always make sure that you apply the changes. And now when we go back to a contact record, you'll be able to see what it looks like. So under our custom tab called partner, you can see all the custom fields that we created. You can create 5 custom tabs, and under each tab, I believe that the limit is something over 120. So we've actually never had anybody running out of space. So you can really play with this and customize it to your use case. So you could manually select when you're manually adding contact records inside of Nimble, you can of course manually select it, but we're all about importing in bulk today. So let me go into a spreadsheet. So you might have your data inside of a spreadsheet. So we have, as I mentioned earlier, we have the import wizard that will help you map your fields, but to make it super easy, you can also go on our support forum, which is just support.nimble.com, and you can search for CSV and read a little bit about what the fields in Nimble are, because if they match exactly, then you won't really have to do a lot of selecting and once you import the CSV file in there. So Nimble will automatically recognize the fields. So as you see, I have first name, last name here. I have the company here, titles. Nimble calls the work email field work email. So that's what I call it here. We also have a personal one. If you call it differently, it really is not a problem. You'll just have to manually select which one it is. So address fields, those are pretty self-explanatory. You can also add tags in bulk. You can do it in two different ways. One way is to bring it in on the import. So then you can put, if these tags apply to all the clients in the spreadsheet, you can just drag and drop. Well, not really. If there are tags that apply to just some people in your spreadsheet, you can create another column, call it tag 2, for instance, and then add the appropriate tag. You can also import into custom fields. So I created the field owner just now. Yes, owner, not account. So you can fill it up in here, and then on the import, Nimble will automatically recognize that. So let's try it out. So I can download I can save it as a CSV file. Let me actually pause the screen share for just 1 second. Okay, all good here. So as you can see, it got downloaded. So we can go back to Nimble, circle in the top right corner, networks and imports. And this time we go into CSV. Select upload CSV file, choose file from upload. It's this one. I don't have safe mapping for them yet. It's not any of the default ones, so I click next. And looks like Nimble recognized the first name, last name, the company, the title, work email, personal email, and looks like Nimble's struggling here with an address. So let's help Nimble out here. So as you can see, there's a lot of address fields. The reason why we usually ask you is to make sure that the address you're bringing in is indeed the default one. So in this case, I want street 1. For here, it will be city 1 or work city and state. And it also recognizes all the tags, and it also recognizes the custom fields. So it's really, really nice because it saves me a lot of time on manual entry. So I can click next. And then again, pay attention to the override options. If you are importing from LinkedIn, then re-importing from LinkedIn or re-importing a spreadsheet that you have previously imported, I would always just leave the default options here and merge on the existing data, because then Nimble will override the existing contacts in there, and we will we will avoid creating duplicates. And once again, always, always, always create a tag. Nimble context test. Okay, finishing up here. Going back to Nimble. Nimble is doing it in the background, but it's probably already brought some information in. So I can click on the tag here. Yes, so some people are already coming in. So I can review if the data was brought in correctly. So before we go into specific contact records here, I want to explain the people and companies here. So it was only 3 records inside of the spreadsheet, as you know, but Nimble created 6. And the reason is that we always create a company record as well. So then you can have a company record for the company. And as you can see, you'll also, so if you have multiple employees associated with the company, Nimble will also tell you how many employees you know there. So then you can click on it, and so apologies, I'm actually in the individual contact record. So here we are. So on the company record, Nimble will tell you how many employees are linked with the company. So then you will be able to go through the list of them. And maybe if you want to contact a different decision maker in the company, build a relationship with another person because you already have existing relationship with the other people, you can do so that way. So when we go back to the tag, and I also want to mention that the way how you launch the segmentation feature is by clicking on Contacts tab. Then you click in this search box here, and these filters pop up, but these are not the only filters in Nimble that you can search on. By clicking on the Add filter, you'll be able to select any existing fields and any custom fields. So you can search on anything that's inside of Nimble. Okay, let's test that everything was brought in successfully. Under data fields here. Looks like my computer's a little slow, so my apologies. Yeah, looks good. Looks like work email got in, personal email got in, address, the address looks good. And what else did I have? Okay, so the tags got imported. And let's go under my custom fields, and also the custom field for owner was filled out. So if you have any questions about the imports, let Megan know and I'll make sure to answer them at the end of the session. Let's go back to networks and imports inside of Nimble, and let's discuss all the other places from where you can be importing contacts into Nimble. So you can, of course, be importing them from your Google. So once you connect your Gmail account, you will see this blue button that will allow you to import contacts from there. So again, you would just apply a tag and they would be brought in. All duplicates would be merged if they have the same email. So you don't have to worry about that. And same with Outlook. So you would be able to import your contacts from Outlook. And if you have different folders in there, you would select from which one specifically you want to import. And again, always, always, always apply a tag. We also have an integration with a company called PieSync. It's a company that specializes in bidirectional data synchronization. So if you are using any apps that you want to keep in sync with Nimble, it would be a great option for you to use PieSync. Oops. And I believe that currently it's close to 200 different software as a service applications that we integrate with via PieSync. So you would be able to review them here. So you could scroll through the long list, but it's a lot. So you can also start typing the name of the app that you're using. Maybe you are using MailChimp. So once you select the app that you would like to sync with Nimble, you would have to authorize it and log into the application. The way it works is that PieSync will prompt you to create a 14-day trial with them. During the trial, you can bring in as many contacts as you want into Nimble. And if you want to keep them in sync after the 14-day trial expires, if you sync less than 2,000 contacts per month per user, the integration remains free, which is really, really good deal. If you want to sync more, then it depends all on how many contacts it is. And Megan can share a link to PieSync's pricing where you can play with how many contacts that would be and come up with what the price would be. And the way it works with PieSync, okay, nope. Nimble, PieSync, MailChimp. That's what I wanted. Okay, so PieSync has a support article for every single integration they work with. This is actually on our own site. So you can watch a video about how it works, but it's very simple to set up. So it works on setting up a rule. So for instance, if a contact is in Nimble and has a tag newsletter, you can also you can sync the contact into MailChimp, add them to a specific list, and it works both ways. So if a new subscriber is created in MailChimp, you can set up a rule and create the contact in Nimble and apply a specific tag. You can really play with the rules inside of PieSync, and it's really easy to set it up. PieSync also has a really responsive support team. So if you're struggling with anything, you can always get in touch with them. So that's one app that a lot of our customers are syncing with, Nimble and MailChimp, because Nimble does have a group message feature, but we do not have it was not created to replace Constant Contact or MailChimp and blast your existing email list. It was created to work in conjunction with our segmentation feature. So when you're segmenting into targeted lists, then you can also use the group messaging to send targeted personalized outreaches and not blast them like you're blasted in your entire newsletter list. So it's meant to nurture your network, basically, not send just like company updates. So MailChimp is one of the apps that a lot of our customers are using. We also integrate with QuickBooks. So again, depending on what exactly you would want to be syncing. There's so many rules, and to show you how the integration gets set up, I would have to have access to all these different apps. So excuse me that I'm showing support articles, but Megan will be sharing all the specific links, and you can also just search it in Google like I did, PieSync Nimble, and the app that you're looking for. And PieSync has a detailed support article for every single integration. They have videos, they have a support team, and when you know what rules you want to be creating, it's really easy to set it up. So in this example in QuickBooks, this person was if they had a person in Nimble and the lead status equal deal 1, they wanted the customer to be created in QuickBooks Online, and they also set up all these following rules as well. Together with MailChimp, another app that a lot of our customers are using to sync contacts with Nimble via PieSync is Constant Contact. So it also works very well. You can, oh, this is Dynamics. Oh, it's Friday. So you can go through all the different examples on their page again. So for instance, when contacts are tagged in Nimble, add them to a list in Constant Contact. When contacts are start in Nimble, and what they mean by start is that inside of Nimble, we have a feature that allows you to mark people as important. So this is what we mean by that. So that helps you to create basically list of VIPs or really important people. So then you would be syncing only the very important people in between the apps. And because there is a price associated with the sync, if you're syncing more than 2,000 contacts per month, then it's really important to make sure that you are somehow tagging specific people and separating them in groups, either by tags or creating custom fields or starring them, marking them as important. So you don't have to sync the entire database and then be surprised that the cost or using the CRM and all the integrations that you want to be using as well is rising. We also integrate with Microsoft Dynamics. So Nimble can be your standalone CRM, but it can also work in conjunction with your existing CRM. And what we have been running into a lot lately is that a lot of our customers that are using Microsoft Dynamics for work, they prefer a more like a more social CRM like Nimble to be able to manage their leads. And for instance, once they sell to the customer, once they become a customer, they start managing them in their Microsoft Dynamics 365, where they have like really customized view and define next steps. But I've been working recently with two companies that decided to just manage their leads inside of Nimble, and they have a setup integration. So it really depends on the trigger that you will choose. But it could, for instance, be uh, a when a custom field changes to customer inside of Nimble, then create a contact record inside of Dynamics and apply this specific tag or edit to this specific place. So then the person in charge of managing the customer can take care of them, or they go into the appropriate place in the CRM. So once again, there really is a lot of apps that we integrate with. So in networks and imports inside of Nimble, you can search by the specific app or go through them and see which one it might be that you would like to integrate with. So I would like to take a look in my presentation here. I'll go into presenter mode again. So our next training webinars, we actually just created a brand new webinar page. You can access it at nimble.com/company/webinars. This is where you'll be able to see all our company webinars. We have a daily Q&A sessions. If you need any hands-on training, this is where you can get in touch with our customer service representative, and they will be able to do a screen share. So it's really great option if you're just getting started or you have a quick question, want to talk to a human being. So those happen daily. I also host these weekly webinars. They're usually on Wednesday. We had some last minute changes, so we're holding this one on Friday. But the next one will be on October 23rd. I'll be going through the entire Nimble app and I'll do an overview of the mobile application. On October 30th, I'll be doing like a case study webinar talking about how you can use Nimble for personal branding and networking. And then on November 20th, it will be all about using Nimble for public relations and brand building. And on November 27th, it will be another generic overview with mobile app overview. And on December 11th, I'll be doing another case study webinar showing you how we've been using Nimble for influencer marketing. So again, you can go nimble.com/company/webinars and sign up for those that you're interested in. And if you're on our email list, we will also be inviting you by email. And for any of you that are new to Nimble and would like to sign up, we have a special offer. And you can go to nimble.com/offers and webinar 30 and get 30 days for free. If you are currently in trial, you can still email us at care@nimble.com and we'll be more than happy to extend the trial for you. And now I'm going to pause my screen share and I'll take a look at the questions. So, okay, Barbara's asking, what if you have a contact from Google and they're on another network? Do they come in twice? So this is a really good question, Barbara. So because we merge on email, they might. So for instance, if you bring them from Google, they will very likely have the email address on there. So if you bring them also in from LinkedIn, And on LinkedIn, they also have their email address. So then we would merge them and there wouldn't be a duplicate. But let's say you are also connected with the person on Twitter and you use the Twitter import, then because people don't show their email on Twitter, then we are not sure that is the same person and we don't want to merge incorrect people. So sometimes, unfortunately, there will be duplicates, but you'll also be able to manually merge them. So I can actually show you how. I usually have the questions on my phone, but looks like I'll have to get a new iPhone. It died. So excuse me going back and forth between screen share. I just want to quickly show you how you can merge the duplicates. I think that's actually worth it. So when you're on a contact record, you can click here on the three dots and then click find merge duplicates. And if there was more Nancy's, they would be in here and you would be able to just select all of them and then click merge and we would merge them. Barbara also said, I want to see what's coming in and then the data is clean, not redundant, and the info makes sense. Hopefully I covered it by going on Nancy's record and seeing that everything that was in my spreadsheet actually came in correctly. If you feel like it wasn't covered, Barbara, please let me know and I'll go over it again. Do you have to tag each LinkedIn contact before you import them? No, so you can upload the tag in bulk. So when you're importing the big file, then you can either use the option on the import to apply a tag. It will be applied to everybody in the spreadsheet. Or you can open up the spreadsheet first, create a column called tag one, and then put whatever the tag you want it to be, and then import it. If you're bringing people in one by one using the browser extension as I was showing, then unfortunately you will have to tag them individually. But I usually just use it when it's like 1 to 5, 10 people. When it's like bigger than that, I just use a bulk import via a spreadsheet. Okay, so Mara was also asking about what I just covered. I tagged all LinkedIn contacts. How do I upload with tags? So you can either, let me actually share my screen. I apologize again. I don't usually like to do it this way, but you know, sometimes things go wrong on a live demo. So when you're importing from your LinkedIn, you'll go here, click on upload CSV file. You find the file from LinkedIn and then next. Okay, I'll skip it because I want to go through it fast. So this is where you can tag them in bulk. So everybody in the list will be tagged with that. Or you can do it in the spreadsheet. So pretending these are LinkedIn contacts. I could just do that. I would save it as a CSV file and import it into Nimble in bulk. Mark's asking, we uploaded a list of prospects via CSV. Now we want to make phone calls to them. How do we keep contacts together to work just those recent contacts? How do we keep contacts together to work just those recent contacts? So, okay, so you imported people into Nimble, then you can pull up the tag this way. So let's pretend my LinkedIn people were the people that you want to make phone calls to. The problem will be that I don't have the phone numbers for them, but it's okay. So if you want to do just the recent ones, so you can use the segmentation feature here to you can like always have put in the tag when you imported them, or you can also use other identifiers. So you could even use this last contacted here. So less than 30 days. Well, it's not going to be anybody here, but there's the option. When you want to make phone calls to people, one thing that I would like to mention is that you can always play with the table settings here. So you just see the data that's relevant to you. So I could even get rid of like all the other fields because I just want to see their phone and update. So if I had any phone numbers here, they would show up here and would make it really easy for me to go through it. But for this specifically, we actually have our activities listing feature, which will make it even easier for you to make phone calls. So you get there by clicking on activities here, going into listing. Then you can pull up the list of people here. If they're tasks that you set up as phone calls, you can just pull those up, and then again you can configure the table to just focus on the specific columns that make sense to you. Can you have more than 4 tags? Yes, Barbara, you can have as many tags as you want. I don't think there's a limit. Where do we sign up for the 15-minute help session? So there are 30 minutes help sessions. You can just go on our site under resources, demos, and webinars. So these are the daily onboarding sessions. So you can just select the date that works for you and sign up here. This is where you sign up for the specific training webinars, the longer sessions. We also do case study webinars. So you can select those that make sense to you and want to join here. And we also have influencer webinars. So those will be more like thought leadership webinars. So again, you can go on our site under resources and do demos and webinars. How can we export contacts from Nimble to Microsoft Outlook? So you can export contacts from the contacts view here. One thing to mention is that the account admin can actually restrict some employees from exporting in bulk. But if you're the account admin, or if that wasn't taken away from you, you can just select the contacts that you want to export here. Always pay attention that Nimble first just selects the first 30 on the page. So if you want to select everybody, so that would be a better example here. So if I want to export everybody in my LinkedIn database, I would click here, and then I can export it into a CSV file or a vCard, and then you can import it into the application that you need. Paul's asking, when I choose to use PieSync to sync Office 365, do I still need to do a first import via CSV? And if I've already done a CSV import, but then choose to use PieSync, will I run into issues? So you no, so so you don't have to first do the CSV import or the import in our settings. You can just go to PieSync right away. So and then again, as long as the contacts have had the email on their contact record in the past, we will merge them automatically, because we use that as the unique identifier to make sure we are not messing up your contacts. So if you have, a lot of people with same first name and last name, this is what we want to avoid, that we mess up your contact records. So to answer you again, to make sure that I was making sense, you do not need to first do any different imports. You can just go directly to here, networks and imports, contacts, and you would pick Outlook, for instance, and import from there using PieSync actually. So networks and imports, contacts, and you would choose the appropriate app here. So thank you so much for joining me today, for your time, all your questions. Apologies for the back and forth. Hopefully my phone will work next time so I can manage the questions on my phone. I hope this was helpful. Please, if you have any feedback, let us know. There will be a survey popping up on your screen. And I hope that you will have an amazing weekend. Thank you so much. Bye.